Welcome to a new daily top Askreddit video. Today's topic: what has been your biggest fuck up leading up to this point in life? Losing friends because I didn't put effort into maintaining the relationship. Nobody tells you when you're a kid just how hard it is to make new friends once you're past your college years. Me too. And I was very self-conscious of how clingy / needy I could be, and I overcompensated by being distant and cool and unbothered. I hope 2020 will be a year of new friendships for you. Edit. I'm a little bit overwhelmed by the replies. So many of us on the same boat. Some can let go and move on, some are still plagued by those decisions. Sometimes I even avoid my parents' calls because I don't want them to think I can't be independent or worry them over me not adjusting. Sometimes I get a text and sit on it for hours so that the other person won't be burdened into an immediate conversation. But baby steps, guys. Tomorrow if I smile at you and you don't smile back, I'm not going to second guess and ponder over it. I'll keep greeting you with a smile. This shit home all the way. And it's double when you're already a loner, and sometimes you can push people away but all you're doing is trying to figure out the balance of it all. Story of my life. Took a very large dose of a research chemical thinking it'd be like acid, went clinically insane for like a year and require inpatient hospitalizatio. Took me 2 years after that to build my life up and have a career, but I was never totally the same. Such is life. Was it in the 2CX family? Sure was. For brave Redditors that have no idea what any of these people are talking about other than clinically insane and LSD alternative, here is a link I googled up. I believe they are talking about 25 degrees Celsius NBOMe, having a formal name 2,4-chloro-2,5-dimethoxyphale, N, 2-methoxyphenyl, methyl, ethame. Using IUPAC nomenclature. Here is the WHO report on 25 degrees Celsius. Here is a schematic of the molecule. Here is a picture I found for by 25 degrees Celsius online. Here is a website that is using the identical picture to sell an entirely different compound. Here is a space-filling image of 25 degrees Celsius. Here is a space-filling image of LSD for comparison. Because it's a serotonin receptor agonist, it binds to a / some of the serotonin receptors and causes function, but it's different chemically from serotonin. If you look at where serotonin impacts this figure, you can see where 25 degrees Celsius would also be hitting brain cell synapses. Being a floater. Meaning being friends with multiple friend groups in life without really being a solid part in any one. Left with none eventually. Edit. Floaters unite. Thank you all for all the kind words. It's nice to not feel alone in this. I don't know how to be a solid part, people just invite me, so there's no point in a one-way relationship. I don't claim to be an expert, but my advice is to change the focus from trying to get others to invite me to trying to be the person who invites everyone. My experience has been that most people want to be part of a group but lack the confidence or initiative to make it happen, so there are tons of people out there, like yourself, hoping other people will invite them to things. Might as well be the one doing the inviting. Also, there will absolutely be lots of people with whom you just don't click, and that's fine. You don't need to, or want to, be close friends with everyone. But you won't find close friends without striking out with a lot of other people first, and you can't strike out unless you're stepping up to the plate. So decide on something you enjoy doing, and invite people to do it. Repeat until you have a decent group of friends that consistently like doing those same things you do. Getting married to the wrong person. It led to a lengthy divorce in which time my ex yanked me finically. It took me years to recover. Right there with you on that one. It's been 8 years and I'm just now seeing the light again. So you're saying there's hope. Almost 3 years out and it's starting to get pretty lonely. But I have a better job, money in savings for the first time in my life. Kid with wrong person. Really ends your life for the most part. I'm in this position. I'm sure I can pick up the pieces, but I know it's going to take a very long time. I've effectively pissed away my youth though. Me too, and it was really hard for many years. But now my daughter is about to turn 18 and she's an absolute go-getter who is getting into a great college. I'm so happy I have her. I did this as well. Your life isn't over. It's going to be hard, but you can still salvage it. It will never be perfect, but nothing really is. For the most part. I am forever grateful I never had a child with my ex. Starting to smoke. I was a super heavy smoker. I was driving home from a charity event for American Cancer Society. I recognized the irony, and I stopped at a rest stop to grab coffee. I was having a cigarette and a lady who had, barely, survived lung cancer came up to me in the parking lot and asked me to quit. She said, "I wish someone just came up to me and asked me to quit, so that is what I am doing for you. Please quit before it's too late." And so I stopped at the drugstore and got the patch. The process is uncomfortable and it took me a year of using it to finally come off of it, but it's been 6 years since I have had a cigarette. Please quit before it's too late. I used to work for a business that provided service for people with disabilities. Basically it was state-funded service which was like public transportation for those who cannot use public transportation. I can give more details about it if you ask about it. We also did some return trips from hospital to home, for people who had gone to the hospital on ambulance, and now needed a ride home, but needed wheelchair, which they did own but it was back at their home. So regular taxi was out of the Custio. So we had a spare wheelchair in the car for these cases. One evening I went to pick up an elderly man from a hospital with the car's chair. As I arrived, I found out that the man was amputee, missing a leg more precisely, and probably over 80 years of age. Despite of this, he was in good spirits, talkative, and the trip to home went well. We were talking about things happening in the world and he was quite well aware of what's going on in the world. Cracking jokes and so on. However, when we arrived at the given address, the man seemed slightly confused where we were. He claimed that he has never seen this place, so he cannot live here. I double-checked the address, from GPS, and from him, and that was correct. However, the man was adamant that he didn't know where we were at the time I took him onto the lift that was at the back of the car. I thought that the darkness outside, and tinted windows on the back of the car just confused him, yet on the lift where he could see the building, he did recognize the place, which confused me. Commence the fuck up. I had been instructed that I should never let my hand off the wheelchair if it's on the lift, yet the confusion that the man caused, I did exactly that. I locked the brakes on the wheelchair so he would accidentally roll off from the lift, and told him to wait a couple seconds. So I checked the list of names on the stairwell, just to see do I find his last name on the list. I managed to take 2 steps away from the car and wheelchair when I realized that I simply cannot leave the man as he is right now. I either have to put him back into the car, or down on the ground. As I turned around, I see the man leaning back, pushing the wheelchair's front tires off the lift, and his hands were supporting him from the knobs that release the brakes. And just at that moment the brakes released. The man fell headfirst about 2.5 feet, 75 centimeters, onto the ground. I of course immediately called an ambulance, and couple minutes later the man's wife came to see what was the hold up. The man passed away 2 days later in the hospital. Cause of death: blunt force trauma on the back/top of the head, which led to brain swelling. I was prosecuted and deemed guilty of, not sure about the legal terms here, causing of death, involuntary manslaughter. And just to make clear, no, I have never been in jail, and the sentence was just €2,000 fine. I could have continued in that work, but for a while I had to get away from it. I just couldn't do it. Edit, before this blows up any further. This happened around 2004 or early 2005, anyway over 15 years ago. I got over it ages ago, and no, I didn't need any therapy with it. Edit 2, yes, it was correct address. I think that the man had early stages of dementia/Alzheimer or something like that, and he just didn't recognize his home. And thank you kind strangers for golds and silvers. Did think this would blow up, but apparently I did. Holy shit, that sucks. It just takes a second to fuck up. It's always best to play it safe. I hope this doesn't sound selfish, but as a new shuttle bus driver I want to sincerely thank you for posting this. I'll definitely be taking your story to heart whenever I transport a disabled person. I'm sorry you had to go through this, but maybe people like me can heed your warning and the world is safer for it. Probably dropping out of my dream college to be closer to my now ex. Regret that decision every single day. Edit, I did not expect anyone to see this lol for real. I just signed up for Reddit today, but thank you all for the words of encouragement and sharing your experiences too. It's kind of comforting in a weird way knowing that I'm not the only one to make this mistake. Is the dream college no longer an option? It's still very much an option, but nowhere near viable with my current situation. That was a very trying time in my life and it kinda destroyed me on the inside, and now I have fears of going back and failing again just like last time. Being a lazy piece of shit. Edit, thanks for the awards you worthless human beings. The money you spent on those could have easily gone to curing cancer, ending world hunger, or housing the homeless, but instead you pander here to the frivolity of Reddit. Really, you should take a hard look in the mirror and ask if you are doing enough in the world. Heathens. This is a lazy comment, very true to nature. Indeed.